Meeting of the Council of San Benito County Governments. It's Thursday, October 17th, and it is 4 p.m. So we're going to call the meeting to order. Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilmember Perez, would you lead us?
Sure. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, can I make an announcement?
Yes.
I need to announce that I am at a conference in Mariposa County. I have no one with me that's 18 years of age or younger, and the agenda was posted at the front desk for both for all of our items for this meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Could we get a roll call, City Clerk?
Director Kuro?
Here.
Director Perez?
Present.
Director Morris Lopez? Here. Vice Chair Casey?
Here.
Director Sotelo?
Present. So can we also get verification of the certificate of posting? So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Oh, do we have to do roll call for everything? That's right. Can we do
Yeah,
roll
sorry
call?
about that.
Director Kuro?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo?
Aye.
Chair Casey?
Yes. Right. We're going to move on to public comment. I wanted to mention that we did receive public comment from Joe Thompson, so it's here. Do we have any public comment?
We have no speaker cards and nobody on Zoom.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions or want to pull any of the consent items? Or could I get a motion to approve?
Let's go to public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have public comment for this consent?
No public comment.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Director Kuro?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo?
Aye.
And Chair Casey?
Yes. All right. And we're going to move on to item 11, the fiscal year 23-24 Q4 year-end budget report.
Thank you, Chair Casey. Good afternoon, everybody. So the item I have for you today is an action item. It is our fiscal year-end budget report and budget adjustments. So we're just about finalizing our numbers to close out our books for fiscal year 24 in preparation for our upcoming financial audit. Throughout the year, we monitor the budget. We do these attached budget reports quarterly, and we're making any adjustments as needed throughout the year. The budget adjustments exceeding $50,000 do require the COG board's approval. So that's what I have for you today. There's 4 of them attached to your packet, and I'll go through them individually. The first one is for the local transportation fund. It's a request to increase the budget by $69,319. And I'll cover the details on that one in just a moment here. The second one is for the COG administration fund, again to increase the budget by $69,319. And this is to be funded by the LTF, so they're one and the same. So overall, the COG administration account exceeded budget by $120,380. The largest contributors to this overage were legal fees and salaries. We did have $60,000 reserved in that budget last year for the COG office renovations or move, which we also intended to carry over into the new fiscal year, into fiscal year 24-25 budget. But of course, we have this shortage of 120, so applying that $60,000 in savings leaves us still with a budget deficit of $69,319. The next budget adjustment in that packet is for the state subvention fund. COG paid out $1.9 million in RSTP funds to our, for local street and road projects. So these are funds that COG applies for annually with the state. And it's our function as the Regional Transportation Planning Agency to apply for the funds, and then we turn around and allocate those to our member agencies. This past fiscal year, we paid out $410,000 to the city of San Juan Bautista for the San Juan to Hollister Forest Main project. Excuse me. And we paid out another $1.5 million to the county of San Benito for a striping project, and this was at various locations, as well as the Anzar Road Bridge project. And the last budget adjustment in that packet is from Measure G. So here we received higher than anticipated revenue. COG pays out Measure G funding to our local member agencies for street and road improvements based on the current cash flow model. So that kind of just breaks down what the percentages are that we pay out. We received more revenue, so now we're able to pay out more revenue. So the budget adjustment will cover that difference to be able to pay out that funding. So this is an action item. So at this point, we're just requesting if the board receive the budget report and approve the 4 budget adjustments. And I can answer any questions. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions on this item? No? Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment?
Okay. Is there a motion or any further discussion?
I will just say, Norma, thank you very much. You always do such a great job on these reports and making it easy to understand. So thank you. Great job. I move to approve.
A second.
I'll second. Oh,
I agree, Norma. It was very easy to understand. Thank you for that.
I can understand.
Okay, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Curl?
yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez? Yes. Director Sotelo?
Aye.
Chair Casey?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to move on to item 12, authorizing SB COG Executive Director to execute a contract with lowest responsive and responsible bidder for the SB COG SBLTA Office Tenant Improvement Project. Okay, good moment.
Okay, thank you, Chair Casey. So I have that item for you as well. So back in June, the COG board approved a lease for the office relocation to 650 San Benito Street. And at that same meeting, we also approved a release of a IFB for the tenant improvements on that property. So bids were actually just submitted yesterday afternoon, and they were opened as well yesterday afternoon. We had a very, very large turnout of interested contractors for this project. We had about 25 general contractors and subcontractors, so it's just a mixture of everybody, show up to our mandatory pre-bid meetings. There were 2 that were held. And of course, that presence really kind of increases the competitiveness of this project. We do want to thank our construction manager for Lease Consulting, who is here at our meeting today, for helping to spread the word to his industry contacts. And also, the board may recall that about a year ago, we hosted the CTC commission for a town hall here in Hollister. And one of the commissioners has connections to the construction field. So we were able to reach out to him, and he was kind enough, his office, to spread our bid as well to the carpenters within Northern California region. So that's another part of that huge turnout. We really thank you guys, because those meetings that we do and the people that we meet, it matters. And in this case, it really paid off. We received 6 bids yesterday, which, 3 would have been great. So 6 is truly just unheard of for an agency as small as ours, and a project as small as ours as well. So thank you for allowing us to kind of foster those relationships. The bid results came in. Monica did hand out the results, so you should have them in front of you there. They did come in higher than what we budgeted. We have secured some state funding for this project to cover that difference from what the board originally budgeted back in July. So there are state grants that are already approved, and we're just submitting final paperwork to get that all moving along. I also do want to note that we are still looking for additional capital funding. Ideally, what we would like to do is not touch TDA money, because our TDA money has a larger reach on what we can do with it. We'd rather go for capital funds that are just strictly for capital. So we're still looking, and we're very hopeful, and we've had a lot of luck in the past securing grants, so we're hopeful that we can find something so we don't have to touch those funds. At this point, the staff is requesting, it's a mouthful, that action there, but it's to authorize the ED to execute the contract to the lowest responsible bidder and responsive bidder. So there is a 5-day protest period, so we're just waiting. That's why we don't have a contract for you today. We have to wait, allow that to pan out. And we also have to establish a not to exceed dollar amount. So we are requesting if the board could make that not to exceed amount the $569,500, which is the second ranked bidder. And we're doing that because we don't know if anything's going to fall through with the first one, right? We're still in the protest period, so we would like to be able to, if something falls through with the first ranked, to keep our project moving along and move forward with the second ranked highest lowest bidder. At this point, I can answer any questions that you might have, any direction that you'd like to give. Thank you.
Do we have questions? Yes.
Interesting, the different, like, the price I feel like is all over the place, from like way too low to then extremely high. So I see on here the rankings, and I'm guessing the lower the rated, the less, I'm guessing, the higher rating, the better it would be, right?
So these are strictly ranked on cost. So we are, and that's just law, and I think Oz is on the line. He tried to explain it to me, but we have to award to the lowest bidder. So it's on dollar amount.
So is the ranking, so I was looking at it like 5 stars, 4
I got
stars.
you. Okay, let me clarify. So the ranking is based on cost. So the lowest cost to the highest cost.
Okay.
Okay, the lowest cost here, I think there was one for like 300. They were not responsive, so they were cut out.
Okay, good, because I was looking at that and thinking you were going to recommend that one, and I thought it looks like it's so far below everybody else that sometimes you pay for kind of what you get. That made me really nervous for somebody to be so far below that we weren't going to get quality kind of work. So, okay, so what you're saying is this is kind of internal rankings of, so you have one is going to be the first one,
Correct.
and if they don't accept it, then you're going to ranking number 2, which would be this 569.5.
That is
Am I
correct.
understanding it correctly?
That
Okay.
is correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, then, and I'm assuming your construction manager has looked over everything too with the bids as well, right?
He has. He did check for responsiveness at the bid opening yesterday. So we're just waiting out the 5-day protest period and any last details that might come through, I'm guessing.
Is there, are you comfortable with all the ones that were submitted and we're saying go with 1 or 2? I just want to make sure that we're...
So the process with public bids, design bid build, is you cannot select. It is the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. So the 359 they were non-responsive. They did not turn in a document that they needed to turn in. And because of that, their bid was rejected. So the way the law works is you go to the lowest bidder. There's no qualifications in this. There are certain deliveries, like the library, for example, is a design build. There's qualifications and dollars and cents. This is strictly dollars and cents.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
And they all met all the requirements. Actually, Paris Construction did some work for the county out at 1131 San Felipe.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I just wanted to make
yes.
sure that we had followed all of the
We
rules.
followed all the
and
rules, and that's why the 359 number was rejected, because they were non-responsive.
They didn't submit
And that
everything.
would trigger a protest.
Okay.
Someone could say, because these documents are public, they could request the documents, and they would see that the document they were supposed to turn in was the wrong document.
Okay,
So,
thank you for that,
Sure.
Damon. I just
Sure.
know we've had some issues with some things in the past, and so I want to make sure we don't repeat past mistakes. So, okay, I'm good with it. Thank you very much. I have no more questions.
Anyone else questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Director Sotelo went right where I was going. And so, Damon, just because I can't see you from the screen here, you reviewed for any hidden exclusions that contractors can sneak in the documents. So I'm assuming there's nothing that you have any concerns that there would be an exclusion in the design build that would make them not qualified. I'm assuming
We
you checked
do
all
not
that.
accept exclusions. This is a low bid. They are bidding the documents. I do not accept
do the whole
accept
thing. Okay.
exclusions, yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure because it's always, that's how we get, you know.
Someone asked that question at one of our pre-bids, and I said, there are no exclusions. You can
There's
put it
no
in there, but I don't really,
exclusions,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Okay, good.
We are accepting the lowest bid because you're bidding these documents, so.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have one quick one. You mentioned that we're over what we originally thought. I'm trying to remember what we actually thought it would be.
The budget was 230,000
Okay.
originally.
Okay. All right, do we have public comment on this item?
Kathy? Kathy, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me? I just have a kind of a question. So the whole budget for this little thing was like beginning like 260,000, and now we're going over doubling it, and that's just for the construction. Doesn't cost anything for the move and that type. We're talking $564,000 for that. I mean, that's kind of really extravagant as far as I can say, with doing with taxpayers' funds. And I'm also curious, what kind of state money did you get for that, for a bill like that? I'm not sure. I'm just curious on the state, what kind of funding is paying for this. Anyway, that's kind of my question. Yeah, you're doubling the budget when you started. So I think that you guys were totally out of the way as the reason when you did the budget to begin with. That's number one. Number two, you've been paying rent on the other place since what, September? So now you're paying, it will be like 3 months, you're paying double rent. You know, COG will run out of money one time or another. Just keep properties, things like this happen. So, something to think about.
No other public comment?
Okay. Sure.
Thank you, Chair, Casey. I just had a question as to, I know that prices go up with supplies, depending on when the original bid was, submitted. And then now, if it's been some months in lapse time, that makes sense. But I'm curious, what sort of, if you can speak to just generally, what sort of work is needed with this new office space? Is there major construction, remodel internally? Just curious.
That's an excellent question. So the building is getting new flooring, painted walls. They are constructing a conference room in there so that we can host our COG meetings and other committee meetings. So there is demo and moving some walls around. Damon could probably answer that a lot better.
So there's fire sprinkler work, there's mechanical work, the electrical plugs, like if you look at this one right here, that's too low, that does not meet ADA compliance, so we have to move up all the plugs to do that. There are new ceiling tiles, new lighting to meet Title 24 requirements. So there are a number of items that are being done. It's a tenant improvement project, under $300 a square foot. In the public sector, that's actually less than what we would typically see. New construction in the public sector is $1,200 a square foot, and this is under $300 a square foot. So I understand it exceeds the original budget, but it's really in line with what we're seeing nowadays in construction, unfortunately, especially in the public sector.
Thank you. I just think that, personally, I just wanted it, to be out there so the public can understand it's more involved than just maybe painting walls.
It's more than just finishes. Yes,
Right.
it's not just new
Yeah.
carpet and
Right.
there's more to it. There are walls there is demo. like Norma said, so there's more to it, and we have to bring it up, everything up to
Up
code.
to
When we
code.
touch it, we have to bring everything up to code. So the
Sure.
restroom, although it was built in the 90s, the restrooms actually are there's some, the radius is not correct. It's changed. The ADA requirements have changed, so we need to make a change to the restrooms. You would think they'd be fine, but we even need to touch those, so.
Okay, thank you so much,
Sure.
appreciate it.
Wait, Damon, don't leave. I just have a quick, I mean, just because you do this for a living.
Sure.
The costs going up, I mean, cost of goods, cost of services. What are you seeing out there? I mean, does this surprise you, the size of this?
It surprised me a little bit, but the bids, if you look at 1, 2, and 3, they're pretty close, and that's how we measure these kinds of projects. Like Norma said, we did get 6, we rejected 1, so let's say 5. When you have a just small spread like that, then that makes me and what I do feel comfortable because of that spread. If it was, if we had huge percentages of a spread between all the bids, I would be concerned. We would be having a conversation about potentially rejecting all bids and trying this again. But when you have 5 people and 3 of them are that close, and really 4 wasn't that far off, 5 certainly was. He was way up there at 849, I think was the number. So with those 3 and the spread we had, it's a unfortunately high, but it is what we're seeing nowadays, unfortunately. And we're gonna, you guys, I hope I'm not stepping out of bounds here, but you guys, if you do award this, it allows us to move quicker and potentially do some value engineering. We're hoping to be able to come back in January and say, okay, we were able to pull some money back and we only spent this much, even though we awarded for this much. So the sooner we can get going on this, we will look at some value engineering. Contractors have better ideas than all of us because they're the ones who bid it, and they say, well, this is really expensive, and if you do this in lieu of that, we could save some money. So that's the goal. The goal is to come back in January, and Norma can report that we actually came in under what we thought it was going to be.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I want to thank Damon because I just know his experience on this. The first question I was going to ask is, do we have the ability to value engineer once we have a contractor determined? The other one is cost today is not nearly as much as cost tomorrow. And then the last thing is, can we have someone from Monica, I don't know if you would like to speak on this, or Benito, but what are the benefits of the relocation, not just, for office staff, but also for the public and the exposure of education about what COG is and what they do? Is there anybody that would like to talk on that?
Hi, Director Kuro. I can speak a bit to that, and feel free to jump in if you'd like. So here's the thing: is the COG office. So it functions as, of course, the COG and the LTA. The COG portion of what we do on a day-to-day is really just us and the computer and Caltrans on the phone. So that really the building is there heavily for our transit. So the people that are walking in are the people that are purchasing bus tokens, that are coming in inquiring about the bus schedule, who want to know how to get from A to B. Those are the people that walk in. So it's really, the location that we're at isn't as accessible to our transit community, okay? That's really who we serve more on a day-to-day. So this relocation is putting us, 1, closer to our city and our county partners. 2, we're right near our busiest bus stop, which is on 4th and San Benito. So it makes it really easier for people that ride transit, get off the bus, swing by, purchase their bus tokens. And keep in mind, a lot of the people that are buying tokens are the students that are riding the bus that don't have access. They don't carry a cell phone where they can purchase through an app, or the elderly and some of our disabled clients. So we need to be somewhere where they can just easily reach us. We don't have a bus stop anywhere near the Espinos. So I don't even know how they're getting to us. I mean, honestly, they're having to go way out of their way. So the goal is really just to increase visibility and to be easily available to the people that we help. And where we're at right now just isn't gonna fly. And not only that, but our current location is, I think the last time we evaluated it, it was $60,000 worth of work that it needed. And I'm not talking cosmetic, I'm talking holes in the floor that I asked people to please skip over because, you know, you could get hurt, you know? So this is stuff that we have to, and these are dollars from like 2 years ago. So this is stuff that no matter what, when you're looking at investing $60,000+ in a building that's not even in a good location, you just have to start reconsidering where you're at. And the other piece as well is I do want to note that the rent at the new location is way less than where we're at right now. So again, between the upgrade cost and the bad location and heavier rent, it just doesn't make sense to stay. In the long term, we've got to look for what's more, you know, going to pay off in the long term. And again, we've acquired state grants that this is funding that the COG was going to turn around and revert to the state because of there was a grant that closed back in, I think, December of last year. These were funds that we were granted like 10 years ago. The project was not completed, so they wanted their money back. And we literally just called them and say, hey, you want your money back? We have a project, we need money today. Give me 60 days and we'll knock out this project for you. So this is funding that we were just gonna turn back, and we were able to hold on to it with the opportunity to make this move for the betterment of the community.
Thank you, that was perfect. I just wanted that information to be out there.
And can I, Supervisor Kira, this is Bino. Can I just add that we would not have been here if it was not for every single person in this room pulling their weight. I want to start by saying huge thanks to our entire board for hosting the CTC Town Hall. That visibility helped us brand. So San Benito Council of Governments is now known around the state. Our CTC commissioners know there is a town called San Benito and what we are doing here. And with that just one connection, we were able to get 25 contractors down here to Hollister to come and visit our small project. So you can understand the magnitude if we use this as a ripple effect thing. So that's the kind of power that from the dais you guys have. And I just want to say thank you to that. And I want to say, I don't know what I would do without Norma. I know I'm getting emotional, but I don't know what I would do without Norma. She is fantastic and she's been doing all the heavy lifting, and I want to give a shout out to her. And I also want to say thank you to Damon Phyllis because he helped us when we were doing our transit building, maintenance building remodel. And we don't know anything about construction industry. We don't know what the budget is, what's reasonable, what is outrageous amount. We don't know any of this. But he came in, he helped us, he held our hand, he walked us through the process. He said, don't worry, we got this. And he's still doing that. So I just want to say thank you, Damon.
We already have public comment. So I just wanted to echo, great job, Norma. Your explanation was awesome. And the thing that is so exciting to me about this location right on San Benito Street is its visibility for COG. We're trying to increase transit, and this will help. So there's a lot of benefits to having it there. So I just want to say kudos to you guys for pulling it together so fast. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new digs once they're all built. So given all that, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, can we do a roll call, please?
Director Kuro?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo? Chair Casey?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, so we're going to move to information items. We'll receive an information on activities supporting the 2050 Regional Transit Plan update. Mr. Bohr.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Samuel Borick, and today I have an informational item on the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan update. As I go through this presentation, I will abbreviate Regional Transportation Plan Update as the RTP. So to bring us back a little bit, in the month of February, my first staff report was an informational item on the RTP, kind of breaking it down, getting into the weeds of it, looking at what it conveys to public and policymakers alike. Now I would like to update the board on our agency's activities that are supporting the update. It's very important that our agency has a valid and credible RTP. It opens up eligibility for funding. It's essentially our cornerstone document. It epitomizes transportation planning. So what the RTP does is it looks to integrate transportation policies and have them meet other quality of life goals, environmental, health, economic goals. And it does this by trying to look at changes in demographics, population changes, employment changes, changes in housing, and how that affects and integrates with such things as transportation revenues and transportation investments. This process is done in tandem with the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments and Metropolitan Transportation Plan Update. It's a very similar document to ours, but it covers the Tri-County area, San Benito County, Monterey, and Santa Cruz County. We work with AMBAG on this. We share information, it's a partnership, and we lean on them to perform some of the technical analysis and technical moves that we are not capable of. So in the grand scheme of the RTP update, it's about a 3-year process. Back in the spring of 2023, the process was initiated, and the process will conclude itself in the late spring, early summer of 2026, and the board will be expected to take action on the final RTP then. So the current work that we're doing, there's 2 things that I'd like to tell the board about. One is we are forecasting transportation revenues for the next 25 years, and we are also compiling a transportation project list. These are really key elements of the RTP, and they help inform the entire document. So revenue forecasting. Revenue forecasting is done with AMBAG, and we explore all types of revenues, from local revenues such as Measure G all the way to federal transit revenues. And we'd like to explore all options and make sure we're being thorough in this. And a part of the thoroughness is working with the jurisdictions here, City of Hollister, the City of San Juan Bautista, and the county, to make sure we are exploring all funding options, make sure we're in line on funding strategies, and identifying potential deficiencies. Furthermore, we work to make sure our forecasts will support our transportation investments. It's important to, make sure we're bringing in the right revenues to support our goals. That being said, though, this process is realistic. We love fully funded projects, but it doesn't help anybody if we just pretend we have all the money. So that is the forecasting aspect of it. The other aspect that we're currently doing is the transportation project list update. This project list update could be described as like a catalog of all the transportation projects and investments the cities and the county are doing, along with the LTA, Caltrans, and even SBCOG. The project list is, like I said, kind of like a catalog. Project titles are there, project types are there, descriptions and costs are there. So when we do this process, we're meeting with all the heads of the jurisdictions, discussing projects, and really a big portion of this is prioritizing projects. The RTP looks at a 25-year span, and it's important that we figure out what projects are priorities, they're happening in 5 years. These are the projects that are important to identify so we can secure funding for them, make sure they have all the proper programming to receive funding, and they will be modeled adequately. So these 2 aspects of the RTP meld into each other. When we do the project list, we establish project costs for everything, and then builds itself up. And while we do the revenues, we see what revenues we can expect. And eventually we begin to integrate these two together. So we find funding that's eligible for the projects and match them up. We do this by we put emphasis on the priority projects here. So priority projects are the first ones to get funding and make sure they're fully funded. And then as we go down, further prioritization follows. So in the near term, these processes are concluding sooner than later. At the November board meeting, our agency is going to bring forward a draft project list for review and comment from the board. We will receive those comments, and then in the December board meeting, we will be bringing a final project list to the board for action. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the RTP now.
Do we have any questions from the board? No? Yes, Director.
I would just like to add one thing. So Samuel did an excellent presentation on what is RTP, or a regional transportation plan, and what are we trying to do right now. What I want to just emphasize on is, if there is one thing you take away from this, why is that we are doing this RTP update? Why is it such a big thing? Because every 4 years, that's what we talk about. We go through a 4-year cycle, we barely finish it, and then we start the next cycle. So why is it? The reason is, we have three jurisdictions here in the San Benito County. We have the city of Hollister, city of San Juan Bautista, and the city and the county of San Benito. We also have an LTA, which is considered as its own agency, and we work with Caltrans. So we try to bring funding for projects to the projects that are a priority in the region. For us to understand what is the funding need, we need to understand what are the priority projects. So we work with your staff. We work with, there's a lot of back and forth, and I want to give a shout out to Samuel and our transportation consultant, Matt Carpenter, who is doing that back and forth multiple times with your public works department, with your RMA, with the planning staff, and with the operations staff. Because we need to not only identify projects that are happening in the near term, but we also have to have an idea of what are your goals. So say, for example, there's a bridge that's going to cost $200 million. It's very rare that you will get $200 million in one round. So we face it. So when we face it, we say in the first 5 years of the plan, we look for this much money. In that 5 to 10 year plan, we look for this additional money. And then in the next 10 years, we look for this. So if we can sit with your staff and understand what are the needs and what are the projects you need, then we can help you find out what are the funding gaps, what do we need, and where we can go and get that funding. So what COG does is really bring funnel money to the region. So we work with AMBAG, who is handling the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or the MTP, which I know a couple of you are on the board. They do the federal process, so that they are doing everything that makes us eligible to get federal money. On the RTP, or the Regional Transportation Plan, SBCOG works to make sure the same thing happens on the state side. And then we have that eligibility, so that when your agency and your staff is ready to go after funding, we can match that funding needs and the projects together. That's basically, if there is one thing you can take away, that is why it's such a critical piece. That's why we need to focus right now. This round, we are focusing really on the first 5 years of the plan. But at the same time, not lose sight that there might be a project out there that is so big that there's no way you can get funding, that we can maybe break it down and have phases. And I also want to add that we have a great partnership with AMBAG. I know Heather, who is the project manager for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, is online today. And if you have any questions, all of us can try to answer.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm the alternate, so I'm pretty new to this. Sorry if I have these questions. So you're saying that you're going after the state where AMBAG goes over the federal funding, grantee. And so you work with the three entities, the two cities and the county. So currently we have the benefit of having our former supervisor, Mr. Bob Tiffany, that was appointed by Robert Rivas as we group the House in the transportation realm. How does this body work with him if they do? And at each city level, who's your contact or go-to person? Because every general plan, you have to have also a transportation plan, an active transportation plan. I call it ATP, kind of like chemistry, like movement. It's just kind of geeky that way, but so if you can answer that for me, sorry.
Yeah. So every general plan has a circulation element, which is just focusing on the transportation network that you have in your city or in your county. And that's the ultimate build out. That's your big vision for your region. But what RTP and MTP focus on, what is realistically possible in the horizon year that we are looking at. So let's, for example, in this RTP update, we are looking at 2050. So we will say in the near term, in the mid-term, in the long term, what's realistically possible. Because a general plan is a built out of the region. It doesn't have an end year. What the horizon, the MTP and the RTP has is a horizon year. Because we also have some of the state mandates like the greenhouse gas emission, air quality, so all of this that we need to look into. And so that's the difference between a general plan and what we are trying to do. And also the general plan is a vision. That's the vision for the city or the county. What we are trying to do is, if we need to do the projects that are regionally significant, how much does it affect everything else? Is it going to affect our ability to have environmental, is it going to have any environmental health? Is it going to address our greenhouse gas emission standards? Is it meeting all the air quality? Is it meeting all the state mandates that the state has put into place, or the federal mandate that the federal has, FSW has put in place? And I say federal in general term, it is LTA, our transit agency, leans heavily on federal money. So it's a combination of all that. So we look for what are some of the things you want to do, and then we try to match it with the federal dollars available. Where CTC comes into play is they are the awarding body. They awards the money to us. So yes, to the extent that we have it well written and well structured in our MTP or RTP, we can go after competitive funding that then will be awarded through CTC. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, and the city of San Juan thanks you for that 410K for the water main. Thank you.
Did we have any public comment? No public comment? Okay. Any further questions, discussion? Are we good? All right, we can move on to item 14 then. Thank you. Receive information on Caltrans fiscal year 25-26 Sustainable Transportation Planning Grants. Mr. Diaz.
Hello, thank you. Good afternoon, board. My name is Victor Diaz, and today I will be providing information on Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant for a program for fiscal year 2025 through 26. These grants include the Sustainable Communities Grants, the Climate Adaptation Planning Grants, and the Strategic Partnership Grants. Guidelines for applying for these grants are to be released later this month. Approximately $37 million will be awarded statewide. Eligible projects can be transportation studies that view environmental related projects that aid in the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in lieu with state goals, as well as the creation of climate action plans. SPCOG will be actively collaborating with all three partnering agencies, the City of Hollister, San Juan Bautista, and San Benito County, to identify potential projects to apply for. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? No? Is there any public comment?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I can't really, when I can't see you guys, it's hard for me to know when to chime in. just real quick, in understanding these grants and the funding, these are are they state and federal grants?
These come from Caltrans, so I believe it'd be state.
So these are state grants, and they come through, and you're talking about, for example, let's just say hypothetically, we're talking about an environmental study for one of our highway expansions.
Yes.
This grant, the funding that you're getting in these grants are to pay for those environmental studies, the different scenarios of what we need to do to meet the state mandates like cap tie. Is that correct?
So, Supervisor, if I can take that question,
Please.
It's not that direct cut answer. So we will have to look at what we are trying to achieve out of that environmental study that you are talking about, and align that with what the Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant is trying to achieve. And if the two are a good alignment, then we can apply for it. Because remember, we are
Gotcha.
not the only agency applying, it's a competitive grant. And so for us to get it, we need to be one of the best grants applications that needs to be out there. And to the extent we can align with the goals that that each of this grant has, the better our chance of getting it. That does not mean we cannot apply, and that does not mean that there is no grant out there that we can go after. There are grants. This is just one example of a grant that we think in the near term is coming to us, and we will be working with your staff as well as the other two agencies to identify if there is a way we can apply for any of this.
Okay, now that totally makes sense. I just wanted to kind of get my head wrapped around it a little better, understanding that what's the best way of utilizing the grant for the things that we need. And there's some, it sounds like you have to check off some boxes, kind of like the typical state process. You have to check off those boxes to be able to be the best competitive person in the application process.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Can I jump in?
Please.
Hi, this is Orchid, Office Chief of Transportation Planning at Caltrans. Thank you for bringing this item up and for discussion. I just wanted to provide a clarification. So the Sustainable Grant Program is for the planning phase of any project. It's not really for EIRs or like the development of a project. So the guidance will be sent out for all, so we could see the specific kind of funding that you are working with and what are the requirements are. Because of it, we are putting together, that was going to be one of my announcements, but there will be a workshop on October 29th. There will be a virtual option for you to attend from 9:30 to 11 a.m. And the invitation is coming out soon. We will include the guidance for, so you could start kind of generating ideas and you could bring these to the conversation on that day and see if they qualify. So it would be a good opportunity to run it through our District 5 planning staff and see if, it's a good fit. We know that it is competitive and there's only a certain amount of money that it is statewide, but we do offer some things here in the district that if you work with our planning staff, you could submit some of the grants in advance and we could provide a courtesy review and we could let you know if it's, if there's room for improvement before the final submittal. The final submittal is expected to be January 8th of 2025. And we will be having, headquarters is also planning to have a workshop, which more information is to come. And we're also open to having open office hours so you guys could come in and have any questions. And these are going to be offered virtually, of course, so your staff wants to schedule something with our team. That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right, so we did not have public comment, is that correct?
Sorry, no public comment.
Thank you so much for the report.
Thank you.
So we'll move to 15, receive the monthly Caltrans District 5 construction project report.
Okay, so items that I have for report on the project update report is, project number 1, which is, 156 improvement project. Caltrans completed our traffic pattern shift on October 10th. New roundabout will be open on Big CV Road, which will consist of one lane in each direction during this phase of construction. Caltrans will be closing a small portion of the Mitchell Road just north of 156 for approximately 8 weeks. The bypass exit from eastbound SR 156 to 4th Street, Business 156, which has been closed since the start of the project, will be reopened. Moving to item number 2, SR 25 highway maintenance. Caltrans maintenance crews are conducting a chip seal improvement on the southern section of Highway 25. Completion is scheduled for next month. Project number 3, US 101 Rocks Road tree removal. The purpose for this project is to improve safety for the traveling public by eliminating the potential of trees and debris falling on the roadway. The anticipated begin date is late October. The project will require some lane closures on US 101, so details are still in development. Caltrans is developing a broad public information campaign to alert the traveling public of the impacts this disruption may cause. Project number 4, which is 156 Alameda eastbound right turn channelization. Caltrans is reviewing design documents. We will have more precise information on this inspection timeline once we complete the design review. And there are no updates for project 5 and 6, which are Highway 25 Expressway conversion and US 101 Rock Road Wildlife. If the board has any questions?
Any questions?
Those are all the items I have to report, and the announcement that I had in mind, I have already mentioned it.
Okay, I think we do have a question for you here.
I just have one quick question. Do you have the anticipated date of when kind of both sides of 156 will be open? Not the kind of, let's call it the frontage road, so not the old 156, but the new 156 where kind of both lanes will be fully operational. Do you have any idea? Are we looking at like January or?
And this is for project number 1, 156 improvement project?
Yes.
Yes, I do not have a specific date, but I could follow up with that when I could ask the project manager so we could get a response to that question.
So the latest information we have, and it is not broken out by when are we opening the new expressway versus when we are relinquishing the old 156 to the county, is fall of 2025.
April of 2025, is that what I'm?
Fall.
Oh, fall, sorry.
Yeah, so maybe September. I would say September of 2025, if you want me to put a day in a month, but I know that.
No, fall is fine. So, from now until fall, we will they're on the new 156, but it will still be one lane each direction until probably the fall.
Yes.
Okay, but I know we got an email last night. Can we maybe announce it here just so that the public has the information? Because I think we all were getting quite a few calls last week about, you know, it being kind of slow on 156. The traffic was backed up pretty horribly. So, and I know the directors received an email last night of a response from Caltrans, but if we can maybe get a report out from Caltrans about the steps that they've taken and the changes they've made to address the issues that we were experiencing last week.
So, Orchid or Kelly, if either one of you can respond to that.
Yes, so definitely thank you very much for the public for their patience on this project, because we do understand that there has been some related congestion because of the work that we're doing out there. Just to give you some examples of the solutions that we have implemented so far, is that Caltrans traffic electrical staff changed the signal timing today at the Alameda signal from 90 seconds to 125 seconds in the westbound direction. The contractor has placed 2 additional changeable message signs to alert traffic before they attempt to use Mitchell Road to get on SR 156. And we're sending emails to addresses along the corridor. examples of solutions pending near-term implementation that we still need to include. Our staff from Caltrans are reaching out to social media and online navigation companies to have them update their information so that directions provided in the future will not misdirect the traffic. Also, lane striping reconfigurations at the Alameda to help clear the westbound queue of the intersection is something that we have in mind, but we can also provide the board with the latest fact sheet. Kelly can provide it, once we get it updated from Terry Thompson, which is the project manager, with the latest information on the date.
Thank you. I appreciate that update. And I apologize if this is part of your update and I just didn't catch it. But on that Mitchell Road closure, I was on 156 on Sunday, I believe it was. And people are still using, like they're on that Mitchell Road and then they're driving on the dirt road that's right there. And then they're crossing over and getting onto the new 156. So I worry about the safety right there. I get it's super frustrating. People probably don't realize and then they get there and it's like, shoot, but can be incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And so are we addressing that at all?
What I have on Mitchell Road is that Caltrans will be closing a small part of Mitchell Road just north of SR 156 for approximately 8 weeks. Not sure if that's specifically the section you had in mind.
No, so the road is closed, but people are going around, like they're driving on, because it's kind of all farm fields that are right there. So they're driving, even though the road is closed, they're taking like the farm roads and then they're going across 156. Because the road is closed. So instead of backtracking, they just take the farm road and then cut across the 156 lanes to get back into the flow of traffic. So I'm just worried it's a safety hazard. I saw several people doing it. There was probably, 5 cars doing it when I was on 156 on Sunday afternoon. I talked to somebody else and she said she saw the same exact thing when they were on it on maybe Saturday or something. So it's just something that I think we just need to highlight and just be aware of that's happening. Maybe it's not a problem, but I just want to make sure that all of our drivers are safe and that, I get it's an inconvenience, but we definitely want to be safe.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll definitely communicate your concerns to our construction team and see if there's any follow-up items, if any changes that we will do to help improve that experience you guys are experiencing.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I piggyback on Director Sotelo comments, because I've seen the same thing, but also what I've seen and witnessed is people it's not just, it's farm roads, but it's private property. They're actually, this is where it's tractor traffic for that private ag industry, and people are driving down the private properties to bypass the detour in a more, what they think, fast way. And I've witnessed it a couple of times, and I've had a couple of calls from my constituents. So I would really, I had real concerns about that. But I will say on item number 156 at the Alameda, thank you for jumping on that right away. I thank all the callers that have been in touch with us, and Benito for being available to keep us in the loop of what's going on there.
Thank you. Yes, no, we'll, like I said, we will definitely share that with our construction team. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And Orchard, I really apologize if I'm saying something on behalf of Caltrans that is not Caltrans information. But I heard from somebody, and I cannot remember who, that part of the reason that's happening at Mitchell Road is because people don't realize it's closed until they get to a certain point. So Caltrans is, and again, I apologize if this message has been changed since I heard it last. They're trying to install a few more signs on either side so that people know way ahead before they reach there that it is closed. So that would help to an extent.
And that's good to know, because I'm not aware of them trying to install it, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. So we can confirm if they're making that effort to, notify the public more in advance, so then we could avoid this disruption.
I have a question along the same lines, because it is a safety hazard. Has Caltrans contacted the California Highway Patrol or the Sheriff's Department? That, is
Not
that, is
that I
that,
am aware of, for the incidents that are just being brought up right now. Is that
right, because, I have too seen coming east, cause I live in San Juan, and on the new portion of the opened highway on 156 going east towards Hollister, there actually were cars that were on the other dirt roads with the farm fields going east. So, and where they jump onto 156, I don't know, but it just seems like some confusion and also some potential safety hazards for maybe a vehicle accident. I live in San Juan and I hear, the fire station 4 is there. So that thing leaves, I can tell you, at least every weekend, Sunday or Saturday.
we could definitely see, if what Benny said, if we're working on the signage, we'll confirm that. We'll let construction know about the concerns you have brought up. And then depending on what we have from our end, we'll communicate with CHP and also inform them of what you're experiencing in our efforts in order to help reduce that. But maybe they could support as well to make sure that, just be vigilant to make sure that people are properly using the roads.
Sometimes a little presence goes a long way.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, we didn't have public comment or anything on that, no.
No public comment?
Okay, so was there a separate correspondence report for Caltrans or no?
No.
You're covered. All right, then we'll move on to 17, the executive director's report.
Thank you, directors. I do have a few, so I ask for your patience. First is you probably, Victor, giving a presentation on the Sustainable Communities Grant. I just want to mention that he's our newest staff and he joins from Orange County. He just relocated and he's here. Just wanted to introduce him. Okay, on September 26th, Norma and I attended the Central Coast Transit Summit. So Transit Summit is from 5 transit agencies that cover San Benito, so LTA, Santa Cruz Metro, and MST, which covers Monterey, and then San Luis Obispo, RTA, which is the Regional Transit Authority for San Luis Obispo, and Santa Barbara Metropolitan Transit District. So it was really an eye-opening and a rich discussion. We had topics varying from finance, planning, operations, policy, new technologies, and we both came back with a wealth of knowledge and a lot of friends that we can call and ask because we are all going through the same issues apparently. So just another step in getting some more people in our network. So the next item is SPCOG is invited to present at the town hall on October 23rd to give an update on Highway 25. I think it's an excellent opportunity for us to go and talk about and tell the residents and the people in this community who really need to hear that from us, from the COG. So I think this is something that I'm going to present and I'm really looking forward to it, and I know you will all be supportive of that. And I just wanted to mention that. On November 19th and 20th, with Caltrans, SBCOG will be doing the notice of preparation for the EIR study on Highway 25. So this is a meeting we need to have, so that we need to have a scoping meeting so that we can officially have a public engagement before the EIR kicks off. So that's what we are doing. We'll be hosting one in this county, one in the Santa Clara County, and then we will also be having virtual meetings. Next, last October 7th and 8th, VTA hosted a 2-day transit training program with Jared Walker. He's one of the most well-known transit experts in the country. So VTA extended a free spot for us, and I was able to attend that and learn so much about transit operations. What was interesting was that VTA had also invited City of Palo Alto, City of Cupertino, Santa Cruz Metro, MST. And what we all learned is that irrespective of where we come from and how different we are, when it comes to transit, we all have the same issues. So we don't have enough money to run, and we don't have enough services to provide service for the people who really needs it. And on October 8th, we, SBCOG, made a presentation on Highway 25 to the South Bay Transportation Officials Association. And this is a forum where we have both public and private sector transportation professionals. And this is important for us because it helps us to forge a brand presence in not just San Benito, but in our neighboring counties too. Especially if we are going to go after funding, and if we want them to consider us as a serious contender, I think this brand presence will help. And finally, I just want to, before I hand off, I just think that Oz Mufti, our legal counsel, has a quick update. So Oz, if you're on the line, take it away.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I just had a quick update regarding a board item from our September board meeting. If you'll recall, at the September board meeting, there was an item regarding a JPA, an amendment to the JPA agreement. The board had recommended to the member agencies to approve an amendment to the JPA agreement, which effectively modified the terms of directors from 1 to 4 years. Following that recommendation, it was circulated to all member agencies for consideration. At this past Tuesday's meeting, the City of Hollister was the first to take it up at the City Council meeting on Tuesday. That amendment was heard and it failed to pass. So in order for the amendment to be approved, it must be approved by all of the member agencies. Given its failure to pass through the City Council at Hollister, it's not scheduled for consideration at any of the other member agencies. I just wanted to provide an update to the board. That concludes my report.
So can we ask you a question? About the October 23rd meeting, I have residents asking me, are you going to be doing Zoom for people who can't attend in person? Do we know? For the Highway 25 meeting?
I do not know.
Okay.
Sorry.
I think we can get that information for you once we have it.
Thanks. Okay, so then we'll move on to Board of Directors reports. Do we have any? Director Sotelo?
I've just got a quick update. So I sit on AMBAG, and at our meeting last week, the AMBAG Board of Directors accepted the final draft of the 2026 Regional Growth Forecast numbers. And this is part of, this will be used as part of the continued development of their 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So just seemed appropriate as what we're talking about today. I thought I would mention that. So thank you.
Director Currow, do you have any report at all?
No, I don't, but if I remember right, the Vets Memorial does not have internet that is capable of handling Zoom on a consistent basis. So I would lean towards no, but I will get that confirmed for you.
Okay. Well, then I think we're ready to adjourn. Do we need to do a motion for that, or we just adjourn?
So I move to adjourn.
We do, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, can we take a roll call, please?
Director Currow?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo?
Aye.
Director Casey?
Yes. All right, we're going to move to the regular meeting for the Local Transportation Authority. Let's see, it is 5:09. So calling it to order, can we get a verification of certificate of posting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, can we get a roll call for that, please?
Director Currow?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo?
Aye.
Chair Casey?
Yes. All right. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, so we move to the consent agenda. I assume we have no public comment for this consent either.
Correct.
All right, does anyone on the board have any questions for the consent, or are we ready to approve it? All right, can we get a roll call then?
Director Crew?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo?
Aye.
And Chair Casey?
Yes. All right, with that, I think we're ready to adjourn. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, your roll call.
Director Crew?
Yes.
Director Perez?
Yes.
Director Morris Lopez?
Yes.
Director Sotelo? And Chair Casey?
Yes. All right, everyone, thank you.
Oh my God, it's freezing in here. It's putting this.